Hi everyone. So I thought I would do another video explaining something that we've used a lot in both the history and politics department, which we think helps just generally as good practice for teaching and learning, but also is really quite useful during this time of online learning. And these are something that we call landing docs, landing pages, or homework docs. And essentially what it is it's a place where for each inquiry, so each scheme of work, we have a document which is almost like a landing page, kind of like a website sort of thing, where students can access their homework, but also see things like the lesson resources, the lesson folder, specifications, revision materials, and things like that. So it's essentially a doc or a page which has everything that the students need to access in one easy place for them. So I think one of the things that can be frustrating is we create all of these resources, but the students don't necessarily know where they are unless we direct them to them. So rather than us having to continuously do that, continuously add the same thing every single year on Google Classroom, we have like one set doc which we can just assign to them, which they can always access and see where it is that their gaps in learning are. If they miss a lesson, they can clearly see what they need to do in order to catch up. It saves time because you don't have to set homework during lessons, because the expectation is they go on the doc and they can kind of see everything that they need to do as well. So it's been really helpful in both subjects so far. So I'll just show you kind of how we use it. And if you're interested, you can feel free to do the same. So you can see here then, right at the top of the document, you've got the inquiry question. So the inquiry question is the question which the scheme of learning is focused towards answering. So for this one, it's the unit on Parliament, which is looking at, is Parliament an effective institution and checking power? And the question is, how far is Parliament an effective check to villainous traitors? So students know that if they click on that, it will open up the folder to all of the Parliament lessons. So if they miss anything, if they want to read up on anything, see any practice questions or anything, they know they can click on there and everything that they need is held within these folders. So it's easy for them to access it. They've also got different things like resources, so they can click on there. I did some recordings, so they can click on there and watch those recordings. A revision folder where everything is for Parliament revision, not just the lesson stuff, but also the stuff that I prepared to help them revise. Specification as well, if they want to look over it, that's where they can access it, and so forth. So it's just a doc where they can see, if they're struggling, they can go on there and click on different things and find out what they need to do to bridge the gaps that they find that they have. I've also, what I do is step by step for each lesson, I create a row on the table for every single lesson. This looks like this after a few years of doing it and adding to it as I've gone. So it's not something that you would just create at once. It's something that you build over time. It's always a work in progress. It's something that I'm always changing and adapting as well. So I've got the lesson title, and whilst I've been doing the live lessons, I've tried to make sure that I always record the lessons in case a student misses it for whatever reason, in case their Wi-Fi cuts out, so they know which bit they can go on and catch up on. So they just click that, and once they click the link, they can watch the lesson that they've missed out on as well. I've also put like learning objectives there, just so that they can see what it is that they need to understand from each lesson, so that it just helps them focus when they're catching up as well. And I set the homework on here too. The reason why is because there's just so many different resources that I pull from in order to set homework, that it's actually easier if it's just hyperlinked. It's really long going on Google Classroom and uploading every single piece of work that they need to do, every single PDF that they're going to use, every single video, and so forth. So it's so much easier if I just do it once on this doc, and then every year, if I can adapt it if I want to, but every year I just say to the students, go on the doc, and then it's there, and I don't have to continuously upload things to Google Classroom. So I found that a lot easier and much more time efficient as well. They can click on here. So I want them to watch this video and answer the quiz. So they can click there and they can access that work that they need to do quite easily. They just click on the link and it opens the form. that they need, and they can go ahead and complete that. So that's been quite helpful. Also, you can link to different things like BBC articles, Guardian articles, and so forth. You can link to individual PowerPoints and just generally the different things that are needed, and that's quite helpful because it's just in one place so that they don't have to continuously look into different areas to access their work as well. So it's definitely a much more streamlined way of completing the tasks that they'll need to complete too. I'll just show you as well, like we use it at GCSE too. So this is a history doc, and you can see this was one that I've been building as I've been doing the inquiry. And you've got the classwork, because obviously this is an online doc and they can access whatever classwork that we've set for them. So the pages for the textbook are there. When we do a recorded lesson, they can click on there and watch that recording as well. So again, it's all simply in one place. And we like them to do inquiry pages where they essentially have, it's almost like a revision page that we're setting for them where they scaffold their revision, their learning and so forth. So they've got here just easily the key points from each lesson that they need to complete. So I'll just show you kind of how you do those hyperlinks and stuff. And I'll do a more thorough video talking about how you can create the table and so forth if anybody needs that as well. So for example, you can see here, I hadn't quite gotten around to making the section where they can access their revision folders and stuff. So I'll show you how to do that. So underneath inquiry question, I just go insert row below, and I can just write resources on there. And then let's say I want to give a link to the revision folder. What I would do is I will just select this. I can either click up here or I can just right click and click link. And then it gives me an option to put a link here that I would like to hyperlink this section to. So when I get to that, I essentially want to link it to my comparative theories revision page. So I just go here where it says the little people on it. And then it gives me the option to share. So you could do it where you just do it, only anybody at our school can share it, or you could just have it as an open link. And you just click copy link. And then you go back to the doc, you paste that link there, and you click apply. And then that is now hyperlinked to that revision folder. So you can see if I click on there, it shows it as comparative theories. I click, and then it accesses everything. If I wanted to do a link directly to, let's say, this recording that I had made, again, I would just right click the specific thing that I would like, click get link. Anybody with a link can view, copy. And I would just write here, recording, link, and paste. And then there's a specific link there to the recording that they would like, that they could use to kind of help them if they need any help with revising or whatever it is, the different things that you've been making. I decided to make a gigantic landing page for all revision resources so that all of the stuff that I had made for them, they were able to access it easily. So this is for the A-level politics course. So it's a revision landing page for all their revision needs. So they can use obviously pre-tude and stuff, and I've put a link to that at the bottom. They can access the essay doc, because we make all of these things and they often forget that they're there. I was heartbroken when one of them came to me and said, I've printed this off from online to help me with revision. And I'm like, but why did I spend weeks of my life making all of this stuff for you just to go online and download something random? So I think having it easily accessible so they go on here instead of on Google tends to help everybody out, really. So like an essay doc with all the essay questions that they want, a massive bank of practice questions, everything is there, so they know where all of the stuff is that I keep for them and I make for them as well. So this is just like something that is very extra, but I've found that this is helpful because it means that they have everything that they need in one place. So lesson resources, everything from the homework docs for each subject, the folder, clips and stuff from different YouTube channels and stuff which might help them, that I think is actually worth listening to, not just something random that they found, different videos that I've made, and those sorts of things can help them too. So links to like textbooks, revision resources, and just general extra things for them to listen to, because obviously the subjects are interesting generally, so giving them access to those things can be quite helpful as well. Okay, so hopefully you found that helpful. I'm going to just do a short bit where I'm explaining how I make the doc. So if you already know how to do that, just enjoy it, and hopefully you can make some interesting homework docs for the students. Otherwise, I'm just going to show you now, how do you essentially make the doc? And you can see here, this is just an example of my A-level politics folder, very organized. I've got it in components and stuff like that. So I tend to ensure that whenever I'm doing my doc, I'm keeping it in the same folder as the lesson. So you can see my Parliament one, which I showed you, is here quite clearly in the Parliament folder. So students can find out where it is to access it and stuff like that. But that's up to you how you organize it. So for the doc then, put it in whichever folder that you're using. If you click up here, you can click new and you can go to Google Doc. So create and share. Then once you've done that, I prefer for the doc to be in landscape because I feel like it gives me more space, but that's up to you. So you could just name it landing doc, whichever topic it is that you're doing at that time. You go to file, and you need to go to page setup if you want to make it landscape like my one. So you go orientation, landscape. You can decide the margins. I make the margins small because it's just online anyway. And you click OK, and then it changes the direction of the page, which I think is more helpful. Then once you've done that, you need to make the table like I did, which isn't too bad. So you go insert, table, and then depending on how many you want, you just go, let's say 5 by 5 just for now, and then you can just add it anyway as you go quite easily. So you could see on mine I had things like inquiry question, I had resources, and so forth, right? So you would just go, essentially you move it along like that. And you saw how when I had the question, it was just one straight row. So in order to do that, you just select like this. So you basically you hold your mouse down, you select, you drag, then you right click. So you click with the right of your mouse, and then you go to merge cells. And then that gives you the option to make it all one row. So let's say inquiry question, how to make a landing doc, right? And you could put it in the middle, make it look however you want. And resources, again, you saw my one. Again, this is up to you, it's personal preference, but I just merged that again. So let's say then that the next bit is where I have my lesson questions. So you can see lesson title, classwork, inquiry page. So I will go back to lesson title, homework, classwork, and you could do date due. I tend to do date set because the expectation is if I set the work, it's always done for the next lesson. And then so forth, right? So actually, maybe I don't need this third row. If I don't need this third column, I just right click and I go delete column, and then it deletes it. So then it looks better in terms of aesthetically. And I like it in the center. Again, it's just personal preference. And I don't know if you saw on mine, but I tended to have this bit here darker. So I would highlight that and I would make it, let's say, dark blue, and then I'll make the text white so you can see it. And then I made these bits dark blue as well. So again, just selecting it. Again, it's all personal preference. And then I tended to make this bit lighter, but that depends on however you want to do it. So then let's say lesson title, step 1, I don't know, whatever you want to call your lesson. And the homework, let's say you want it to be read article on BBC. You would hyperlink it in the same way that I had shown you previously. So let's pretend this is the article I wanted to share. Just right click, copy it, and then go back to the doc. And I tended to just take one of the words, double click it, add the link, paste it, and then it saves it there. So the students know that they can just click on that link and it will open it straight up to that doc as well. So it's just kind of your personal preference how you want to lay these things out, and doing it step by step. But I think working out just using the table like you would usually use it in Word is always really helpful. Hopefully that video has helped you a little bit, the step-by-step guide. But yeah, enjoy, have fun,